Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special movie club. Just getting this up off the top. Spoilers for No Time to Die. So if you haven't seen it and you want to see it,
Don't do that.
skip this episode.
The
Um,
date, April 2020. The location, I don't know. Some theater somewhere.
Huh?
That's when this is, right? We're recording this in April of 2020.
yeah, no. We're recording this in November of 2019.
They took James Bond for us that
For
long.
a long ass time, yeah.
So everyone's aware. A film came out October 8th,
Yeah.
2021.
It was like 19 months of delays or something like that.
It is. It's wild to me. Yeah, it's finally here. So some things about the film, obviously. I think the biggest thing kind of going into this film for a lot of people was, I'm trying to think like stuff that mattered a lot. One of the things to me is the director change, I think, stands out going into this film.
Well, yes, and I mean this. So the guy that ended up directing it,
Harry Joji Fukuragi?
yeah, he oh, Time to Die. There we go. Let me just pull up the IMDb page.
So I'm looking at so stuff he did was
He did
like
True
Beast,
Detective.
True Detective and Beast of No Nation.
I mean, Beast of No Nation was okay, but
But that, like, if you want to see it, so, but like, it's interesting to me, kind of that. And then obviously, I think the other big thing in this film was that Hans Zimmer did the music, which I actually didn't realize going into this film.
yeah, well, and I didn't know that until I was watching like a Here's Things to Remember about No Time to Die, and like it covered some Spectre stuff, and it covered like kind of the director's switch and the writer's switch, and yeah, Hans Zimmer hopping on the soundtrack, which I think I was more surprised that he hadn't done a Bond movie before.
So yes and no, and I was kind of thinking that too. But I'm trying to think, like, the era in which he became, like, I think in the last 20 years is really pivotal with Hans Zimmer. And, like, I know he does a lot of films. There was a capacity of how many films he could do.
Well, but like, if you think about it, Casino
Like, I just
Royale,
told you,
Casino Royale
I
was
just
the
said he-
perfect point to get
That's fair.
Hans Zimmer on, because when he like he was big around when that happened, and that was the start of the Craig
Scoring.
Bond.
But he was scoring Batman at the time.
Yeah, but also think about the Batman score, and think about how much of that could be
Bleeds into
transitioned
this.
over to a Bond movie.
Or even this one, I think, if you think that, it bleeds in, I think.
Especially as dark as Casino Royale is.
Hmm.
Like, I think the Chris Nolan stuff was like a tryout for the Broccoli's. Like, they wanted to make sure that he wasn't just like a one-hit wonder, and he could transcend his original style. Because, I mean, the Broccoli's are so protective of this franchise. And for good reason, right? Like, without Albert Broccoli, there is no James Bond.
Mhm.
Like, it comes down to that. Like, he was the first producer, right? Eon Productions took a swing with an Ian Fleming spy novel and hit it out of the park. And, I mean, Bond has saved more studios and production companies and than you would ever imagine. Like, MGM's one thing when they sold to Sony was that they had the Bond rights. Like everything else with MGM was pretty much not for Sony. They were willing to let MGM go, but they were like, oh, well, we can get the Bond rights. And, those are so important.
So let's jump in at this point.
Yeah.
So let's I think now is a good kind of jump into a point. As I said, no time to die. AJ, we'll start with you. What did you think of this finale of sorts for Daniel Craig and their modern James Bond?
Of sorts, the dude gets blown the fuck up.
Okay, we'll get there.
I thought it was the perfect end for the Craig Bond. Like, it tied up every single storyline. Right, they're starting from fresh. Whatever the next Bond is, they're starting fresh.
Yeah, you can't even do like the M transition you did from Brosnan to Craig.
Well,
you
Bond
could.
is still alive. Like,
sure, I feel, as we'll get into it, that it would make the most sense for them to kind of cleanly cut it at the end of this, but...
I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, Ralph Fiennes, by the end of this movie, his M is such a badass.
He looks tired, is the best I could call it.
Like, he is pissed off. Like, it is the perfect portrayal of if this situation actually, like, the Craig Bonds in a way are the most realistic Bond has ever been. And I think this specifically, like, was the perfect showcase for that, because he is just like, shit needs to get done. We're getting it done. It's the perfect version of, Judi Dench letting Bond do as he please in so many movies. And when Bond needs M the most, Ralph Fiennes M the most, he just lets him do his thing. Like, he always pushes back with Bond. Like, and you see that from, when he was Mallory to M to, which I think this is he's the first M where you know what the M stands for. Like, it's always
did we know that going into? I forget that.
Yeah, because he's called Mallory in...
Yeah, because he wasn't M in the beginning, so that's why we know.
Quantum
of Solace.
I think he first shows up in Quantum. He might show up in Casino, but...
He does not show up in Casino. I think it's Quantum. I thought we knew him in Skyfall already.
I think he's in Casino, but not as a big player. Because Tanner's character is through the whole thing. And Tanner is Mallory's right-hand man.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think Mallory was in Casino, but not...
in any major way?
Yeah.
Let's
I'm
find
pulling
out.
up his IMDb. So.
Same. I don't know the answer to that question that I was saying that.
Skyfall...
List will find.
Good lord, he does way too much to figure this out.
Right. Okay, so let's not do theater. I do not believe he... Do you know why he wasn't? And this would make sense. He was a little busy being in Harry Potter at the time.
That wouldn't... I mean, they shot those back to back, and...
He is not.
He's not. So the first one
he
is
first
Skyfall.
shows up in Skyfall, actually.
I could have sworn he's in Quantum. Maybe he's in Quantum as like an uncredited. I don't know. I feel like he was in more than
I can't find him in Quantum at all.
Um,
The only thing I can think of is, and actually this is where my joke sticks, is Harry Potter was ending around the time Quantum was happening, so I could only... that one I could see, so they filmed those back-to-back.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I think, because that one, filming back-to-back is a lot harder to get offset than...
Yeah. But
See, but
yeah, it's just like it's I don't know. It's as I said, it was the perfect way to wrap up this Bond because you introduce the swerve of here's the next Bond in a sense of here's the next 007 is such a good. I mean, it's not really a swerve because that was in all of their marketing material, but the way it, the way those two paths crossed, Bond isn't working for the Brits; he's working for his friends.
which I did not. That one I actually don't know if I realized from the marketing material.
No, they never made that apparent that because they had Felix in the marketing stuff, but it wasn't clear that
Right.
Felix was the reason Bond got into all of this.
Which reminds me, I want to go back to on the podcast that just came out. The where the AJ was wrong section. We're gonna call this. I didn't have a theme. I'm sorry, I
What was I wrong about?
did not write a theme song for it. Where you said about you said because I made some sort of comment about how all the films seem to matter, and you said, well, Casino Royale does not seem to matter. I might argue that Casino Royale mattered at least more than Quantum of Solace for this film.
Felix is in the some of the others. So yes, he's
Sure.
introduced in Casino, but the Bond, pun not intended, the Bond isn't there between Bond and Felix. I think until he's in Skyfall.
I'm pulling up his thing now. So he's in Casino, as we both know.
Yeah, I think he's in Skyfall.
He is
He's definitely
not in
Inspector.
Quantum. No, he's not.
Yeah, he is. He's in one of the
I'm looking at his thing now. No, he's
his
not.
his things on one of the. Oh, I mean,
That's what I'm telling you. He's only in only in Casino.
I could.
Oh, he's in Quantum. I apologize. He's in Quantum. He's not in Spectre or Skyfall, though.
Also, I love that. I totally forgot about this. Felix Leiter is like one of the original Bond friends.
Yeah, which I did not. I completely forgot about that too. Like it's yeah, it's because you just think of like in a moment you're just like, oh, he's just a character.
And then, yeah, so I think it was really cool that he was the reason that a lot of that happened. Like, a lot of the whole plot device is Felix. Like, Felix kicks everything off.
Yeah, which I did not see going into it.
Also, can I just say the fact that they hint that Rami Malek was Dr. No and then kill him off was a bold move.
So him dying that easily is not something I expected.
I
Like, at
figured
all.
the way that they were, I don't know, they were hinting so much that even if Bond didn't kill him, they were both going to die in the facility.
Okay, so we have to jump to that. Right? The final fight and the final like all of that.
Yeah.
I did not think they would actually let it.
No, I figured they would. I figured,
Because it's never been done before.
no, but also think about how campy Bond stuff normally is.
Right.
Like, none of the Bond movies have really been grounded in.
Craig is the first time it's kind of been this like continual chain of like things that mattered and
Yeah, like there's an overarching
build.
storyline, and
right, like the other ones could have stuff that go film to film, but they don't matter the same.
yeah, and well, and not only that, like think about like okay, most of the baddies are either like the ultra super bad guy or like some crazy, you know, dude's got a space laser or something like that. This is the first time where Craig's Bond villains were normal people.
Sure. Which actually we'll get to in a second about the villain in this one because I'm that might be where I think the weak point is. Um, but generally speaking, yeah, that's fair. But okay, so in the moment though, I did not truly think it would happen until I saw the first missile drop in front of him. I was like, oh, it's like, oh, it's happening.
No, I figured because there's no way he was making it out of with as many gunshots as he took. Because like, okay, yes, he's been shot plenty of times,
So there's an entire opening of a film based on that.
but none of the shots that hit him were in lethal areas.
Sure, we thought they were temporarily, but sure.
Like he always got shot in the shoulder or, you know, right below the lung. You know, he or in the arm
Right.
or stuff like that. He was never like fatally wounded. Whereas in this, he was shot in the kidneys. Like you're gonna die from that. So yeah, I mean, as soon as the missiles launched, I was like, okay, they're gonna show him die.
I think showing it's very powerful.
Especially like the discussion that goes on between um Bond and his daughter and Matlin are like, in a weird way, it's the most touching that franchise has ever been.
I also find it interesting the going from she isn't to she is. Very
Well, I
the
mean,
way they kind of said it.
it's heavily implied, and it's just Matlin like brushes it
Right,
off
yeah.
that no, she isn't like, and you could tell the way that she aggressively said that was like, no, it's definitely his. And then, I mean, it was weird to like. I feel like they wanted the the scene between Rami Malek and Matt Lynn to hit more with
Yeah, that's a good weak point of the film.
when he says like you fathered his or you mothered his child or carried his child, whatever they said.
Right.
Like I feel like they wanted that excuse me, that line to hit,
Way more than it really
but
did.
there's so like they they don't hide it enough.
Yeah, that's
Like, you know, it's yeah, it's just well, and then you start thinking about it, and she holds her stomach on the train out of Italy.
yeah. There's like a subtle thing though that I feel like I wouldn't have thought of at all the first time. Going
Like
back, and seeing it,
obviously
sure.
looking back now is like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But like in the moment, I don't think that at all is an obvious ploy. At least
Yeah,
doesn't mean like that's not something they did on purpose. It just like definitely it's one of those things that like okay, like it's stretching in the moment.
yeah, and then I mean, okay, so let's get to the villains. Like having
I have questions about
Cyclops, the State Department dude.
right.
Like
Well,
the fact that Blofeld wasn't a thing in this movie, like
but he was, and I'm very I still don't understand the whole how he controlled everything.
yeah, they never make that.
That's the thing I don't fully understand. Is
But I
how,
mean, that's
how did
movie
he-
magic. Like, oh, he had a whatever. Like,
But he was talking, and they watch him all the time.
oh, you know what it is? He's missing
What?
an eye.
Sure.
Blofeld's missing an eye, so they were. Blofeld is seeing the party through Cyclops' eye, using his cyborg eye. So Blofeld has a cyborg eye.
Right. Okay.
Cyclops has a cyborg eye.
I
That's
remember
how it works.
talking about him ranting to himself. So yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay. Again, that's one of the things though that like we didn't catch.
Yeah, it's. I mean, if you. That's not something they come across that comes across to the movie. Like,
Which was more like they made a moment, kind of like when he went to kind of like made a point of showing it again or something.
Yeah, it was, yeah, I don't know.
Like nothing massive I don't need from it, but just like a half a scene. Just showing
Yeah,
that to like remind yourself, oh, that's a thing, right?
yeah. I don't know. There's so many things in this movie that, like, looking back on it, the movie falls on its face so many times. But it was such a good, like, obviously nothing will ever stand up to Skyfall. Like, that is
See,
the
and so
peak.
it's just great because I think Casino Royale is better. But
Skyfall is a much better film than Casino Royale.
see, I don't know if I agree.
Casino Royale is pretty weak, like, in terms of really the only thing it does is it introduces Vesper Lynn. Like, Vesper Lynn and Mr. White, that's it. And, considering, like, if we go back to Connery, right, Dr. No introduces Dr. No and Blofeld. Like, and they tease Blofeld. They don't show Blofeld, I think, until the second or third movie. So, like, they don't tease Blofeld until the end of Skyfall. Or the beginning of Spectre. Whenever he gets the ring, like, I guess that's Inspector, but, they don't tease Blofeld until that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just show him, and it's like, oh, that's Blofeld. There's the through line of Mr. White being Matt Lynn's father, and that whole thing is way more impactful. Like, I hate how I understand that it makes him more human about losing Vesper Lynn and then having to come to terms with that. But it's just like, I don't know, it felt like the plot device to, I don't know. Like, they completely forget about that in Quantum. Like, I think he brings it up once and then that's it. Like, and then through the others it's a little more prominent, but
I definitely feel like this is the most that's been
it
talked
felt
about.
like this movie was like, okay, what are all the storylines? We need to wrap them up. Okay, he needs to make peace with Vesper Lynn.
Right.
He needs to, come to terms with Blofeld. The relationship with Matt Lynn, like, where does that go? Felix, what happens to, it definitely felt like this movie was taking all those strings and trying to tie them together.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, considering how many strings it had to pull, it wasn't terrible. Like, this movie could have been god awful.
Right. Yeah. No, but it's not.
It at least does it in a halfway decent way. The thing that I didn't really like, I understand why they did it. The whole new 007 and then taking, I have no problem with the actress that they chose, or
So I think
that they
I
went
might
with a
have
female
more.
role.
I think I don't. I think what we saw of her was decently weak. And then B, I still have a fun issue from a is it Bond question if we went down that road permanently, kind of.
Well,
Like if it's a side character, a second character, and that you could sidestep that a lot easier.
I mean,
I would question why is it Bond at a certain point, but
the fact that they mention, right, like, oh, you thought they would retire the number.
yeah, it was a good little. I think that was a good like talk about the future thing.
That was a really, because they never address that. Like, they never address why he's 007 or if somebody was 007 before him. They never address that. So the fact that they
I feel
address,
like the other movies exist a little more in some way, even though they don't because other reasons. But like
yeah,
it's funny because you kind of your head kind of goes there really easily.
yeah.
Because wasn't there a line early in one of the other films talking about how well people don't only retire from this job? It's
Yeah, it was in. Uh, Skyfall.
I think so. Because I think
It's
that was
when
the
he
first
comes
time.
back.
Yeah. When
Um,
Moneypenny becomes Moneypenny.
yeah. Um, no, the problem I have with the 007 is it's like they went too far in the future.
Right.
Like it was too, oh, we gotta be, bleeding edge of fashion and all this and that. And I'm like, that was never the role of 007. It was just a
But that's, I think, one of the
suit and
through
tie.
lines of these films has been that, though. In a lot of ways. It's funny because each film they've had to deal with it differently. Kind of starting with kind of Skyfall and then the Spectre, then now of like the villain becomes more modern, which I think is partially why you see stuff like M, I think, be more stressed than ever and be darker than ever because like what was the line? What was the line that Fine said? It was something like we sort of see the enemy and sit down with them, and now they just exist in the ether.
Yeah, he said several of those lines.
But I think that's kind of a good through line of these films talking about it is um this entire arc of movies has been about modernizing not just Bond the character or what he does, but the villains he faces. Which
Yeah,
again has some
it's
problems,
definite.
I think, of it being this person. And we've seen that and it's been discussed in that. But I think
Yeah,
that's been this continual trend of them.
I mean, yes, the movies are, but also they're just telling a story in a modern time. It's not like they're not taking old Bond stories and putting a fresh coat of paint on them.
Casino Royale, I think, is kind of the only time they can almost do that. But not quite.
Well, I mean, it was the first book, so
And there's things in there that are good parallels, but yeah, it's not
yeah.
100% one to one.
Um, but yeah, just being like, because she would stand out. Like the whole point of Bond and the Double O program is that they're spies.
I think, as bad as it sounds, I think she most blended in. And you'd see her as working as a spy. Where she was good at it was when he met her in the club and was it
Yeah,
Africa or whatever?
Jamaica.
Yeah, Jamaica.
Which, by the
And,
way, that was such a nice tribute to Ian Fleming.
oh, right.
Like actually going to Jamaica, and I think part of it was shot on the resort. Um, you know, referencing kind of the history of this franchise in a way that doesn't normally get talked about.
Hmm.
And to continue that through line of this film harking back to a lot of things, I loved that it went with the old school intro. It
Right.
was the
Like, I didn't
immediate.
expect the cold open, like, doo doo.
It was the immediate. Barrel comes across screen, Bond walks, shoots. But then not only that, but the fact that they just, they didn't do the Skyfall where he falls into the water and that goes into the
Use it, yeah.
opening credits. It was the old school, like the titles just start popping up, and then it transitioned into kind of the more over the top
Also
stuff.
going down that road, the intro I think was surprisingly good. The whole like with Billie Eilish and that whole thing.
Yeah, that
So
song's
I was a
amazing.
little
Like
more
it's a very good song.
I was a little more concerned about it, but yeah, I think showing it like
I mean, I wasn't concerned because I've heard the song. I'd heard the song back when they released it. I was like, okay, like she did a very good job. It's not the best theme. It's definitely not the worst.
it's definitely not the worst. I actually think Spectres was objectively worse than that.
I would put No Time to Die
Middle.
in third.
Oh, of the Craig.
Yeah, because I'd put
So you have
Skyfall immediately above it.
and Casino Royale I think has to be number one.
Yeah,
Like I I think Casero might be the best bondage song.
Well, I guess it depends on how you define that, right? Like, Skyfall was by far the most commercially successful.
Sure.
And, it was kind of. I was worried after Skyfall that they were going to make non-Bond songs. They wanted stuff they could play on the radio.
You're concerned it was going to be a trend because it happened to be a Bond song that's successful. Which I think Spectre was them playing around with that a bit. Like at the time, Sam Smith was huge.
Yeah, but also Billie Eilish was huge when they.
Yeah, but Billie Eilish, the only thing I would give her is she may be extremely mainstream, but she still had I think of Bond songs as a lot of times have either rock or grunge or something a little more darker to them than just pure pop.
You only think that because that's what they've been recently. You go back to it and Madonna has a Bond song.
I don't remember that being one of the best also, though.
You liked that one?
No, I said I don't.
Oh.
That was the thing I don't remember. That one I don't remember being one of the good ones.
Yeah. The Bond intro song has always been that is, kind of like the late title card, Bond theme songs list. There were so many things of, Shirley Bassey with Goldfinger. That one's pretty good. A View to a Kill, Duran Duran did one. Nancy Sinatra, Tom Jones. Obviously Chris Cornell, I guess still my favorite. Tina Turner did one. Right. Quantum was Jack White and Alicia Keys.
Right.
Sam Smith, Die Another Day by Madonna. Sheryl Crow, Katie Lang did one. For Your Eyes Only was Maxed Out. They've been pretty poppy.
Sure, they have them. I'm not saying that there aren't any that are.
And, they've, a-ha did one, they've always chosen how do I put it? A popular group at the time. Somebody that they don't normally choose somebody that is unproven. So I think the fact that they went with Eilish when they did, because if you did it this year, if No Time to Die was planned for 21, I think absolutely it was the perfect choice for Eilish.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you chose her in 2019, when the only thing that was really out was a mixtape and Bad Guy, it was, yeah, it was definitely a push for, I don't know, they wanted it to get back to being artsy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
okay, I'm trying to think what else there is to kind of some big pieces of it. Trying to think. Oh, we did not talk about. There's one other thing we have not talked about. I think we may be talking about one Bond girl, but there's a different Bond girl that stole this film that needs to at least be mentioned. Remember when you said, "Is she in this film?" When I said, "Who's in the film?"
She was in the film for 15 minutes?
Okay, she was objectively the best Bond girl of the film, of the two.
What are you taking? Naomi as the other?
No, I'd say
Or
the
Madeline.
mother. I'd take Madeline as the other.
I mean,
Because Madeline was the Bond girl last time.
well, and that's the problem, right? Like, it's tough because he already has the Bond girl. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so, it would be weird to say, like, he was going for another Bond girl because he clearly wasn't. Like,
Right.
he already had his thing, so.
I just think she was really good. I think I think the comedy they went for with her, I think, really worked. From her being this awkward, I trained for 2 weeks to like then showing everyone's ass.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, her. I think her character was where it started to get super campy.
Sure.
Like this film delves into, like, falling into old Bond tropes, like quips and one-liners, and
I was thinking about the tea that was going to make her blind. I didn't quite fully understand the whole between the teas and all that stuff. If you drink this flour, you become so like listen to command. Like it's like okay, this stuff's weird.
well, I mean, like, that stuff exists. Like, there are plants
Sure.
that if you consume them, they will kill you. Like, and things like that. And I understand, like, how do you defeat Cyclops? Like, there's not an easy way to kind of defeat him. Also, his introduction was super weird. Like, it's like, oh, all of a sudden this dude has a super white eye, and then of course it's a fake eye, and then of course it's a camera, and like,
Right. Oh, that
yeah,
was the other thing. Was at the party in Cuba. I liked that whole thing of like introducing like the poison and the whole like, oh, Mr. Bond's here. Like, yeah, it was campy, but I think it
yeah.
worked.
I mean, I think really, like, if you want to boil it down, it's okay, the cat's out of the bag. Blofeld exists. So how do we make Blofeld stuff happen? And of course, it's a bioweapon.
Of course, so that makes sense to the character though too.
Yeah, and still, I go back to Doctor No is the original Bond villain. You hint at it so much, and I understand this is the last film of the franchise, but or the Craig franchise, if you will. But
Right.
why did you neuter him? Like, they took a perfectly good character and then said, you know what, he's gonna die. And we're never gonna show that he is actually Doctor No. Like, oh, let's hint at it, with the mask and, the Japanese island, and, we're gonna hint, basically, call him Doctor No without giving him the name.
Because I never said I don't think they ever gave him any sort of name for
He just had, like, whatever his name was, but also his introduction was awesome.
that. Right?
Like, I honestly thought when they show that scene in the trailer, I thought that was way towards the end,
Seen in the trailer.
where he's walking out and then shoots the ice.
Oh yeah, not the trailer, the house you mean.
No, they have that scene in the trailer,
No, they
like the movie
what scene?
trailer. Yeah, they do.
Oh, the trailer is a movie. I'm sorry, you meant trailer. I think it was like a prop trailer.
No, no,
No,
no.
they don't. Yeah, I guess.
Like, I thought that was going to be either a reference back
Yes,
to,
I
like,
thought that was to the end. I did not realize that was to younger her.
I thought, oh, they're going to do the Skyfall thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, no, it's like 30 years before everything happens. But yeah, I thought he was going to play a bigger factor. Like, I get that he is in the end the bad guy, but like they introduce him and then it's like on to Spectre. And then he comes back and then it's on to, you know.
I kind of liked the jumping though, because it kind of keep you as an audience kind of figuring out what's happening.
I mean, but the thing with Bond movies is you know who the baddie is for the most part. And you know, it's kind of easy to understand, whereas with this one it's like, you know, you don't even know, like, is Blofeld really the bad guy in this one? Is Cyclops supposed to be the bad guy? Like,
I did know you Cyclops was like what, like all I could think of was what was the giant and the other in the past movies and stuff. Like I think it's one of those.
oh, Jaws.
Yeah, so I in my head I kept thinking of his Jaws, like the modern Jaws.
Well, you want to know who I really thought the bad guy was going to be? Was the State Department dude. Like, I thought for sure the way that they were just like teasing how, oh, he's such a big fan.
Right.
Like, I thought for sure, okay, this is going to be the dude that, like, he controls everything, and...
But he was just kind of someone that got disposed of.
Yeah. Also, the way that they kill him is awesome.
That's true. That was the other one. So, the Russian scientist, all I could do in my head the entire time was picture, what's the actor's name?
Also, the fact that they had Hugh Dennis in this and they use him as a serious role. Like, you're missing out on one of the best British comedians alive today.
Who was he in the film?
He was the other male scientist.
Okay, right. So all I could do the entire time that we were seeing the Russian scientist is in my... I knew it wasn't, but I just couldn't unsee it. Was picture David Cross.
Okay.
Just, I think it's the face. I think it was one of those. I'm like, I can't.
I mean, it's funny because I audibly laughed when I saw Hugh Dennis on the screen, and then immediately they cut to the smallpox joke. So then everybody was laughing at that, and I'm like, no, you guys don't like the ultimate British comedian is on screen right now, and he's in a serious role, and it's like, oh man. You know, it pained me to see that. If you want to see what he's like, look up Hugh Dennis on Mock the Week on 8 out of 10 Cats on Would I Lie to You. He was on Taskmaster. Like, he's an incredibly funny person. So it's kind of a disappointment to see that. But you definitely saw, you know, going back to Anna de Armas, like, there was a weird, like, the ice had already been broken because obviously they did Knives Out, and it was like,
right,
okay, you know, they're having fun because they're actually friends.
Right, they've known each other at this point for a while.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't be shocked if that might be part of the reason she got this role.
Oh, it's why she got the role. Like, if you go back and read like some of the interviews or watch some of the interviews,
she wasn't a big name at the time when they were casting this.
They were casting this after Knives Out had come out.
Are they casting it that late?
They were shooting it that late. This only took like 18 months to shoot.
Yeah, which is shockingly, surprisingly short, all things considered.
Well, think about it, right? Like, there was a lot of practical stuff. There wasn't a lot of VFX. They didn't have to shut down half of Scotland to create a burning house. They chose a lot of remote locations that they could, like the house in Norway. That's super easy to do because you just find that house and then you've got it. Right? Like there aren't going to be a ton of people going through there, so but yeah, I mean this film is such that if it were in any other spot in the franchise, taking out him obviously dying at the end, like if he survives that and there's more movies, I don't think I would like this movie as much. But the fact that it ties everything together,
Puts, I think, the best bow you could have ever asked for.
yeah, because I mean, really, like, I don't. They do mention it in Skyfall where Silva says like everything we touch dies or whatever. He mentions that, and it's just proof of that coming to fruition. Like taking out the weaponized smallpox as actually touching somebody and dying. Like the fact that every friend that Bond had known is dead, right? M's dead, Felix is dead, Vesper's dead. Like he didn't really have a lot of friends. And then for Matlin, the one for him, right, is able to go and be free. I mean, it's a twist on the last time Bond got married was in, I believe it was a Moore film, and they kill his wife.
Right.
So the fact that they turned that on its head, I think is really nice because it's a situation where should whoever becomes the next Bond, like if Mallory comes back, if Tanner comes back, if Ben comes back as Q, if Moneypenny comes back, like if some of these characters they've built up come back, if they can find a way to tie the next Bond into Craig's Bond,
that'd be amazing.
It would be amazing because then you could have Matlin and her daughter in universe. Right. Like this, they could tell stories of like, so and so. And like, so they've already hinted that 007 is just a number. They could make it so that Bond is just like a code name. So the next guy could be James Bond, but it still could be tied to Craig's Bond because
things like where they can meet past characters who didn't realize it was.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess the reason I'm thinking that is because they did it with M already. Carrying her over, but I guess I would want to see. I don't say this very often. I want to see, like, I want a movie where it's just like, okay, M is off the deep end, stressed out, like he's probably started a nuclear war. Q is doing his best to keep shit in line. Moneypenny is doing her best to, like, make sure M doesn't start a nuclear war. Like, I want a character movie of, like, those three as the main, and then Tanner is just kind of like he's not comedic effect. He's never comedic effect in any of the movies, but he's always a breath of fresh air. Like, he's in a way, the realest person in those movies. Because he's like a normal worker.
And I looked up, by the way, the reason we knew of him is because he was chief of staff for Judi Dench, and he just stayed chief of staff.
Oh, that's why.
So that's why our heads were
He's-
connecting
yeah.
as part of it.
I was
So
like,
he's
he
been
was
there the
in
entire time.
He was in one before.
No, he always
Mallory.
was
Yeah, I was
the
like,
chief of staff
Yeah.
for that position.
yeah, okay. I think that was the problem. I started like these movies now blend together,
It's been so long.
and it's like, okay, I haven't seen Skyfall in a while. I haven't seen Spectre in even longer. I think the most recent of the films that I saw was maybe Quantum.
I see Casino usually like once every year or so, and then
'Cause,
I'll
like-
either watch Spectre or Skyfall.
Because
I'm
like, I
a
wanted to
little
go back.
closer-
I wanted to go back to Quantum and like, is it really that bad? And I realized no, it's not.
Quantum, I'll give you gets a bad rap. Quantum, I think, still is the worst of the films.
Well, also like, once you know the twist in Quantum, you understand so much more. Like the whole, there's parts of that movie where until you know the twist, they just don't make sense. And I think that's why a lot of people said it wasn't that good of a movie. Because like you don't know that, oh, they're going for water, not oil.
Mhm.
And things like, and so it's just like, okay. Once you know that he's after Mr. Green is after oil, or not after oil, I should say, he's after water. Like, okay, then it starts clicking into place. And then you're like, okay, this isn't as bad as it could have been, and so yeah, I would put No Time to Die. I don't know. Casino's okay. Quantum's the worst, but it's still pretty good. I would have to watch Skyfall and Spectre to choose between the two of which is the best.
I think
So I would probably put No Time to Die at 3.
so. My order goes: we both agree think Quantum's the worst, and this is where we diverge. So I'm torn. I think I enjoy Spectre more, but I understand when people say Skyfall's a better film, right? So that's my tour part of it. I think this is second best film, and I think it's Casino for me for first, which I know is we diverge entirely on.
Well, and I think the reason I don't like Casino is it's a very good action movie. And it introduces the real, like this real Bond pretty well. But it's not a Bond movie.
And I think that might be why I like it a lot, is to me it feels like, I think that film to me felt like it was a modernization and a reimagining of the character. Obviously I think they've gone more Bondy over time, but I think especially at the time it showed what a modern non-Bond Bond can be.
Well, it was okay, Call of Duty's popular. How do we make Bond for the Call of Duty generation? And I think that's part of the reason why I'm still not a huge fan of it. Like, it's got one of the best scenes where he's talking about scratching his balls. But yeah, I mean, other than that, like, the twist of Vesper being in on it, and the will he, won't he thing, and all that, it was like, It felt, I don't know. Casino feels like it could have been so much stronger.
That's fair.
Whereas Quantum, I think it was just a product of the time.
Yeah.
Like, it was made during the writer's strike, so like it was probably a half-finished script. Skyfall is the problem with Skyfall is it's the perfect. It would have been the perfect end for Craig.
Right.
Like, M dies, Bond goes on. And then he doesn't go on, he goes to Spectre. And obviously, introducing Blofeld and Spectre's great because you're bringing back an old villain.
And I think I would argue Blofeld looking at him is the most iconic Bond villain. You don't realize this is that one? He definitely is the most iconic.
Yeah, I mean, Blofeld's been in
like,
4 or 5 movies.
Everyone knows Blofeld because everyone knows the picture of the cat.
Yeah.
Like you know Blofeld.
Yeah. And then Spectre has some great scenes. I think the fight in the Macau casino is up there. The one shot of Bond taking out the sniper is great. Other than that, I mean, the Day of the Dead intro is awesome because of how big that stuff was. Like, so much of that was practical.
That intro was amazing.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay, you introduced Blofeld, and Dave Bautista's in this, okay, and then it's like,
I also think, Inspector Blofeld's, like, machine where, like, killing his brain, I think was terrifying.
Blofeld's machine killing his brain? What?
His machine, do you not remember how, like, the whole, like, Blofeld, the whole, like, machine where they were drilling through their head?
Oh.
Inspector?
I'm trying to remember that scene now.
That is the whole machine. They, like, strapped Bond into it.
Yeah.
And he's, like, drilling through his head, the whole thing.
Yeah. I just go back to, anytime I see stuff like that, I go back to the Goldfinger, where he's gonna slice him in half with the laser. But I mean, like, Spectre, I mean, you introduced your new Jaws with Dave Bautista.
Right.
You know, his whole thing was, instead of him being able to bite a steel cable, he had, like, titanium thumbnails.
Yeah.
That could gouge out eyes. And then you bring it full circle where Bond kills Blofeld, kind of on accident, and then he kills Dr. No, and then he gets killed himself. Like, I think it's fitting, even though they don't call Rami Malek's character Dr. No, I think it's fitting that those are the original villain and the most well-known villain, and he kills both of them. Like, it's such a nice treat to see them do that, for, like, that reference to be in there was pretty nice.
Okay, so to end this, I have the ultimate question, which I think there is an obvious answer to, but I'm curious in your thought. Is Daniel Craig the best Bond?
I guess it depends.
Okay.
Because I guess it depends on how you define Bond, right? Like, is Bond this, you know, complete misogynist, like, you know, terrible human being? but suave as fuck. Like, is that who we're going for? Because if that's the case, then Connery's the best Bond.
Right. That's fair.
If we're going for, I guess the problem is this is the first one that made Bond a person. Like Craig's Bond is the first time where Bond was a real person.
And it showed a real person with real
Yeah.
consequences of their actions.
Like he had emotions, and he was getting older, and this and that. So it's tough because is it the best portrayal of a realistic Bond? Yes, because it's really the only one. Are his movies the ones I would go back and watch? Absolutely, because they're the newest and they're the best quality. But if I'm saying if you just, of all the Bonds, if you're like, who would actually be James Bond in real life? Like what would he be?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If he was an actual person, it would be Connery, because he would be just this douchebag Brit that thinks he can get all the ladies, and
Can.
I mean he can, but they all die, and he thinks he's super suave and all that. That's who he would be. Like, I think Felix is the best version of the American CIA guy. Like, because he nails that. That's what it would be like. Like, in a weird way, Craig's Bond is an American Bond.
That's
like
I always thought that too, which is a weird.
If Jack Ryan didn't exist, it would be James Bond. Like, it, in the sense that if Tom Clancy was still around and hadn't wrote the Jack Ryan series, and instead wrote the James Bond series,
Mm-hmm.
that's what this would have, like, the Craig movies are what it would have been like. Way more just actions have consequences. Like, he's not always going to come out on top. He's going to get his ass handed to him, a few times. So.
Okay.
And I don't know. I guess I'm looking forward to the news in 22 of who they choose to be the next Bond.
I will be very interested, and I will be very curious on who they choose.
I hope, and I think the Broccoli family has the best intentions in mind. Like, I hate to say it, but I hope it's not a female, because that's just not a female role. Like, to change, you would have to rewrite that character.
I don't mind, and I think this film showed a way where there can be a female
007,
that exists,
but not
right.
Bond.
And the issue is, these films are James Bond films.
Yeah.
And I think it was Craig actually who said in the interview, right?
He says, like,
service to woman to just rewrite the role to fit him. He goes, make up a role that works. Like, don't just make it Bond. Like, find a role. Or make him a role, or whatever.
Yeah, you could use Bond as a code name and just call it, like, Bond. Right, you wouldn't have to say James Bond. Just, like, and her name can be whatever. It could be Naomi. It could be Jane. It can be anything.
Don't make it a Bond, like the issue is that you don't want them to Ghostbusters it or Oceans, whatever was in it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want, like, that didn't work. It's not gonna work.
Yeah.
This wasn't a film with that in mind, and the character people expect that wouldn't work.
Here's my major disappointment about it, though. I think by the time it would happen, Idris Elba would be too old.
Same.
And I think
I heard it was Cillian Murphy was the one that heard floating around.
He just got picked to play Oppenheimer.
Right.
He's too scrawny. Like, you need somebody that's got something on him. Which is why Idris Elba was the perfect choice.
How old is this man, though? I think he's too old.
Elba?
He's 49, yeah.
I mean, he
Yeah,
would
like a
be
film
into
out
his
of him would
50s
do.
by the time they start shooting, so. Yeah, I guess we have to look at, 20-somethings British actors right now.
30s. Craig was probably like 30 and was casted.
The first one was, what, 06?
And Daniel Craig right now is 53. He was born in 68. Was he only... So he was 38 when he was casted.
Yeah.
So 30s. They could be 30s. Because Craig's an old Bond, but his run was so long, too.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I expect another Bond with 5 films.
Well, especially with kind of the way that modern cinema is. Like, the only reason Connery had so many Bond movies was just... They just ran that shit until it stopped.
Right.
It wasn't like... It wasn't like, oh, we have this great cinematic universe that we're creating. No, it was just... He's the actor, he's the character. Things like that, so, yeah.
I think that will do it then for a good old-fashioned movie club. For No Time to Die. Remember, go support your local cinemas, I believe they're called. I heard they serve popcorn now.
It felt so good to order a popcorn and a soda.
I assume you got the largest one humanly possible.
No, I got a medium popcorn and I didn't finish it. And I got a large soda and I didn't finish it.
It's back, baby. It's back. I had apparently a shit ton of AMC points, so I just didn't pay for anything.
Also, I don't know if it's just because I hadn't been in a theater in so long or what, but not gonna lie, I got super emotional at the end watching him die.
Same.
I was like, this is perfect. Like
my entire theater, I think, felt it.
I didn't start bawling, but there was
a moment.
Definitely some wet eyes. But yeah.
And I was gonna say, on that note, I think we're calling it there.
Yep. We might do one later in the month for Dune. That will probably be a watch along.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
With it being
That's
on
possible.
HBO. So yeah. Stay tuned. We will have more interviews, more SWW shows, more Formula S.
Coming soon.
As always, check out twitch.tv/Generic Jericho on Wednesdays. Normally 7 p.m. Eastern. Try to start around there. And we go for about 2 hours, so yeah. Then obviously stream archives are up on the SWW show YouTube page. So
yep. And they usually premiere whenever AJ gets them to me, so if they're not up within a week, just yell at one of us.
We had unique circumstances for 1 week, so I think we're pretty much caught up for archives. Yeah. So
we should be able to put up this show be live. You should see all the past couple months.
Yeah. Have a good one, everyone.
This episode is partially brought to you by the Humble Choice program. Did you know Humble Bundle has a great monthly subscription service that lets you get a ton of video games every single month? That's right, from plans range from $5 to $20 a month, you get a hold of a bunch of free games they have available to you. And you can use our code down in the description below to go and sign up. It would help our podcast and help you see what great games are available for you this month.
This podcast was a production of The SWW Show. To learn more, go to theswwshow.com. Remember, you can follow the show on Twitter at the SWW Show. You can follow me at Mikey_Moni. You can follow AJ at LowSeatBoy. Remember, new episodes premiere on Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time on anchor.fm/SWW and podcast services around the globe.